All right, well, let's go ahead and get started today. I'm Katie Erickson. I'm the marketing director for Boyer and Associates, and we are so glad to have you join us today for our What's New in Business Central Wave 2. So that's the fall 2024 release. Our presenter today is Bradley Roberts. He's been with Boyer for 9 years, actually closer to 10 years now, and recently got a well-deserved promotion as our ERP team lead. So congratulations to you on that, Bradley. I know he's got a great presentation planned for you today, so I'm not going to take too much of your time. Just wanted to let you know this document that you're seeing on the screen in front of you, that is the Excel document with all kinds of links, chock full of information. I am going to be putting that in the chat as well as emailing that to you so that you have it to kind of follow along with the presentation. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and head it off to you, Bradley. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Katie. All right, first off, welcome everybody. I'm very grateful to be here with you all. It's a fun exercise for me to prepare for these webinars, these what's new webinars. There's quite a bit of preparation that goes into this. I'm already sharing my screen here with the primary basis of what I'm going to be going through with you, which is just an accumulation of a bunch of stuff that I want to share. Let me just kind of introduce myself. I actually, ahead of this meeting, reviewed who had registered and who'd signed up. I saw quite a few familiar names and friends from old implementation projects and some recent ones as well. So I welcome you and welcome everybody else. I'm glad to have you with us today. My name is Bradley Roberts. I've been, like Katie said, I've been with Boyer and Associates for about 10 years. I've been working with Business Central and its predecessor application for about 17 years, and I've always been either implementing or improving in all of that time. I've never actually been a user per se, but I love Business Central, and I really am glad that I just happened to be working for an organization that was using this application many years ago, and they asked me if I would be interested in taking a change in jobs, and after thinking about it, I was like, sure, I'll give that a shot, and I've been very happy ever since to be working in this niche. So I work on implementations. We've got a great team here at Boyer and Associates. So we also have great support people. We've got people at Boyer who do, basically all other major business applications, ranging from CRM to Power Platform type things to reporting like Power BI, also some F&O, which is another ERP system. And so I rely on our team heavily for input and information. And I think many of you know my coworkers if we haven't worked together. And if you guys have questions, it's our business to assist you. I really appreciate Boyer's core values. A couple of them I want to address today. Our main mission is to make businesses better, and we do this by delivering solutions that help companies manage their businesses and different parts of their businesses. So obviously, we're talking about Business Central today. I live in the Business Central world, the ERP world, but there are many other applications that Microsoft has and maintains and makes available to you to solve various business problems. I'm gonna turn my camera off here in just a minute and point towards my main monitor here. But as I'm doing this, let me just give you a little bit of information about what we're going to be going through today. The main thing that I want to deliver to you all is content and information. Microsoft is always making improvements to Business Central, and they make lots of improvements. They are committed to making this the premier application for small to medium businesses, and their model for implementations and delivering software as a solution. Software as a service through licensing and that kind of thing. It has been a great step forward in in driving and pushing this platform forward and getting it in the hands of many, many new people. Just to give you a little bit of information about what we're going to be going through today. I'm going to be going through a sweetened condensed version of all of the material that Microsoft has published about what they've just recently delivered in their 2024 Release Wave 2 feature set. I've got a whole lot of links in here. So just one thing about me, I like to, as I'm training and teaching people about things, try to give people as much information as they need to be able to help themselves. There are certain things that I know I want to cover, is maybe there are certain pitfalls, and I want to warn people about or clue people into, but from a teaching standpoint, I want to give you guys enough information that you can go back and investigate anything that we mention here if it's a feature that you're interested in. So there's lots of content embedded in this file, and like Katie said, I think she's delivering this to all of you. I don't, and I can't go through everything in depth. There are several subjects in here which I can only superficially touch on, but I want to give you resources that you can tap into to learn more about that. And so let me just go through some of these resources. So at the very top of this, I've got certain links embedded in the file. So I'm just going to start clicking on this. So I'm going to go into H1 here. This is the page that Microsoft uses to, is the primary landing page. This is all of the stuff that they're delivering in this release wave. So again, it's 2024 Wave 2 plan. This is if you pay attention to any of the numbering in Business Central, this is 25.0 and on. Release Wave 1 in 2024 was number 24.0, and so if you're paying attention to that stuff, these features become available either now or between now and next April when they will go through and do another release wave. So this document has many, basically has links to sub pages or other pages, and all of these will give a little bit of information about the feature enhancement. And so what I've done is I've taken all of these links, copied and pasted them into my Excel spreadsheet, and then added a bunch of supplemental information here about things like, oh, hey, what's a brief summary of what is this going to do? There's some notes in here about what I want to use for demoing purposes, and then I've got links to other resources as well. So let me talk about another primary source here. So I'm going to click on this in H2. Microsoft is part of the release waves for the past year and a half or so, have been publishing these launch events as YouTube videos, and these are really great. This is content that's moderated and training material that's presented by Microsoft employees. A lot of them are product managers, so they're the people who are primarily responsible for delivering new features and enhancements and taking customer feedback and implementing it. And so if you want to find more information about any of these subjects, you can click on these videos and watch them whenever's convenient for you. So if there is a subject that has a related launch YouTube video, I've got that link in here. So so again, I'm just taking specific parts and pieces of these videos and embedding them in this file, so you can quickly find more information about a subject if it's particularly pertinent to you. Similarly, I have also got embedded in here links for the last two launch events. So if I open up these, this is 2024 Release Wave 1, and this is 2023 Release Wave 2. So we've got basically 3 of these on YouTube. Prior to that, I think their launch event videos were in some other system, but I really like that they're making this available on YouTube because it's very accessible. Okay, so we've got all of these enhancements, and I have no delusions that I'm going to go through all of them or make it through all of them. So what I do is I basically triage this. I look at all of them. Some of them I just say, okay, this is not the right audience for that. Like, a lot of the maybe development and some of the more technical parts, or stuff that has to do with localizations for other parts of the world. I skip those things and am left with a list of enhancements that I think will be useful for a pretty wide audience for most of us who are in the United States here. So for each one of these, I have basically given it a ranking. What I do is I basically give, I score it 4 different ways, and then I just sort these, putting the features and enhancements that have the highest scores at the very top here. So we talk about them first, and basically we're just going to end up like running down clock. So I'm going to start going through this list at about 10:40 or so. I'm going to transition. I want to talk about a new feature in Business Central, basically an entirely new module that has to do with subscription billing and recurring billing. And then I'm going to finish the discussion talking about a new feature that was added a year ago. So I want to talk about the analysis mode feature in Business Central. Some of you, or hopefully many of you, may be familiar with this already, but if anybody is not familiar with this, I really want everybody to know about this, because this was a really nice enhancement and really enhances your ability to analyze your data. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about how this is sorted. So I've got an important score. So this would be if an existing feature is being deprecated or something like that and replaced by a new feature, it would have a high importance, because if you're using that feature that's going to be deprecated, it may be very important for you to know that it's being replaced. I didn't actually see any of those scenarios in this launch, so most of these are low. How many companies is just me saying, of all of the companies that use Business Central, on a scale of 1 to 5, how many companies do I think will benefit or can benefit from this? And then a usefulness score. So even though a feature may be beneficial for every company out there, it may not be extraordinarily useful. But I wanted to call out certain features that I do think will be useful. And then I give a cool rating to everything, which is just if I think it's a really cool subject, like this first one where Microsoft's embedding Power BI reports into Business Central and presenting them. To me, that's cool. Yeah, a little bit nerdy. I get it, but that I want to factor that into my scoring as well. So anyway, I just basically sorted this all high to low, and let's go ahead and jump in and get started here. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about, and the first feature I want to showcase, has to do with embedding Power BI reports into Business Central out of the box. So again, just as we're going through this, you can click on any one of the links in here to read Microsoft's documentation on it. As you will see here, sometimes the documentation is fairly minimal. And as is the case with this one, there's some configuration and some stuff that you have to do in order to actually start utilizing this feature. And so that's why, partners like Boyer and Associates and people like me exist to help with that. And I've got a link here also to how to use that. So let me showcase this to start off with. So I'll open up this link here. Okay, so this feature is, Microsoft has got all of these really cool and powerful, business applications, which somewhat stand alone, and Microsoft wants to utilize these and show the benefit of these cross application usages. So here I am in a test environment, and just FYI, this will be this feature will become available in the 25.1 version of Business Central. So that's tentatively slated. That's basically supposed to be the November release. So 25.0 is October, 25.1 is November, 25.2 is December. And so this feature won't be available until you're on version 25.1, by the way. So once you've got that, you will, once you're in this version, you will now see a bunch of Power BI reports available here. And I'll just start off by showing you these. And then we'll talk a little bit about how you can actually configure this. I recently, while this is pulling up, I'll share a quick story. I recently went to the business or the Microsoft Community Summit down in San Antonio, Texas, and one of the things that I heard somebody say, a user say about their experience there was they learn about all these cool things, and sometimes when when professionals are giving them answers to things, they just say things like, "Oh, it's just right there, and it's really easy, and all you got to do is you just got to do this thing," and then when they would go back and actually try those things, they would find out that it's not that easy. I know that, and this is why companies like Boyer and Associates exist, is because this is a big application and there's a lot to know. When you use Business Central, this is your ERP system. The data is yours, the configurations are yours, but as your partners, we want to help you to be able to leverage that and build on it. So why I'm saying that is because I don't find it helpful, and I know that sometimes professionals just say things tritely, as though, oh, this is just super easy, and I know that sometimes it's not that easy. So I'll point you towards some good instructions I found. Anyway, this is Power BI embedded in Business Central. I am in Business Central, and it is using and presenting Power BI reports. So I've got a whole bunch of things in here. So I've got financial statement overviews. I've got some dashboard stuff. I've got some income statement things in here, and I can drill down into these. I've got dates, budgets, and all sorts of different reports in here. All of these are going to be available out of the box. However, there is some configuration that needs to happen in order for you to be able to see this. So in my notes, I call out the fact, there are a certain number of finance reports and inventory and manufacturing reports and those kinds of things. Be aware that that as you're going through this process to utilize this feature, you'll need to use Power BI and install some apps there. But there's some good instructions that I found online, and so I'll click on my link here in my extras column. This is Yun Zhu. He is an MVP for Business Central, and he's outlined very well exactly what you need to do. So the process to start utilizing this is you would come into Business Central, you would pick a Power BI report and click on it. And if you've never done this before, it'll prompt you with a little, do you want to enable this feature? And it'll actually just kick off the wizard to help this process. Yun Zhu suggests opening up Power BI, and what you need to do is you need to basically download some Power BI apps that Microsoft has made available in the Power BI App Store, and implement them in your Power BI instance. And he gives you, step by step and screen instructions here. So literally, I'm in Business Central. You click this little waffle button up here in the upper left-hand corner, open up Power BI, and in Power BI, you're going to click on this apps menu button and hit Get Apps, and then you're going to go through, find the apps that are necessary, and you're going to install them. And he walks you through this whole process. Once you've downloaded those 7 apps into Power BI, you're going to come back into Business Central and basically walk through a setup wizard. It's going to ask you various things like, hey, what's your reporting cycle? Is it standard calendar year, or is it some other cycle? Or it's going to ask about your working days. How much data do you want to pull, and various things like that. So there's a number of configurations that need to be done here, but this steps you through this nicely, basically beginning to end. As I didn't see this blog until after I had figured this out myself. So I had taken all these exact same screenshots myself and was like, this needs to be a blog and out in the community. But when I did a search for it, Yunzu had beat me to the punch, and this is really good. This is really good documentation here. So that's, again, a new feature that's going to be available in the 25.1 release, and you can follow those instructions to implement that as soon as you get your hands on that 25.1 version. Okay, next we're going to talk about some enhancements in the IRS 1099 reporting area. I'm not going to go into great depth in this area, but what I want you to be aware of is now within Business Central, you will have the ability to connect to the IRS IRIS platform and deliver to directly to the IRS your 1099 form submissions. So if you have more than 10 forms to submit to the IRS, you're obligated and required to submit them electronically. Be aware that if you want to use this feature, you will need a transmitter code, a control code, this TCC code, compatible with their IRIS portal. And if you're interested in utilizing this and you don't have this, my recommendation is to apply for one of these now, because it takes some time to get your information back from the IRS. They send some stuff to you in the mail, and so if you're interested in using this and you don't have it, start now. These features and more information will be coming available in 2024. I haven't seen it because it's really not out yet, but I take it at face value that that's what they're going to be delivering. Next, there are a couple of enhancements surrounding job queues. So if you're familiar with job queues or not, job queues are a tool. You can think of, basically, it's just like a little process that's going to run in the background. And so you can set up a job queue to do things like process a report, or post transactions in the background, or any number of other kinds of processes like that. And as the system uses these, or as you configure these, what happens is they can sometimes run into errors that you need to go troubleshoot. And until now, there hasn't been a notification process, an automated notification process. So they've got two varieties of this. They've got get external notifications, and then another where you can get internal notifications. So speaking candidly here for a minute, I tried in my demo environment to get this external notification thing to work, but I didn't have any success in my demo environment, just because of maybe some licensing or some problems in there. The instructions for how to set this up are it's demonstrated in this video. It's not real hard. Basically what you do is you go to the job queue entries page, and on this page you will basically go into the Power Automate options and create an automated flow. And as you go through that process and follow those instructions, it will create a Power Automate flow that will it'll basically create this thing for you. And the expectation is that it will send an email message to whoever, to certain people when if one of these job queue processes fail. So I wasn't able to get that one to work in my environment. That may have just been a limitation due to the fact that I'm working in a demo environment. However, there is also an in-product notification as well. And so let me just show you what that looks like. Okay, so in this environment, I have got, let's see here. I believe in this environment. Well, okay, actually, it's not popping up here for me. But what it will do is, if you've got this configured, once you've got this configured, when you log in, if you're one of the people that's identified to notify when a job queue fails, you'll have a message basically presented here at the top of your Role Center page saying, "Hey, job queue, whatever, failed," and you can go into it from there. So to set this up, it's fairly straightforward. You go to the assisted setup page, and if you do a search for job queue, if you click on this, it will ask you, well, basically I've already done it in this environment. It'll start this little wizard for me. I can say who I want it to notify. So I can notify the user who started the job queue. So if one of my users starts a report and it fails, they would get a notification if this is checked. Then similarly, I can specify or name just a few other people, like maybe administrators or people who can help support those by toggling this. Click on next, and I've got these two options here. This first checkbox is to turn on and activate the notifications within this, the internal, and the second one is for activating the external notifications. And then I can have it tell me immediately by checking this option, or I can have it do a threshold before it sends the notification. Anyway, that it's fairly straightforward to set that up. Again, there's instructions on how to configure that in the links that I've provided in here. Okay, next thing I want to talk about, or the next thing I had identified here, was Microsoft has expanded the ability to do some ad hoc analysis on fixed assets and projects and services. I'm not going to go into this in depth right now because this is closely related to the subject that I'm going to be talking about at the very end of this meeting. Okay, so for anyone who is using Business Central to design their reports, they've made some enhancements in the report layouts page. So report layouts. So if this is a familiar page to you, if you've wrestled with this before, they've added some new features in here. One thing that can happen when you're dealing with reports and report writing is if say, for example, you make a customization to a report, there's some piece of information that you want to add to like an invoice report or something like that. You run into a situation where the report layout that you've got may not, won't have that data in it. And so if you've got a report that you've designed maybe in a Word report layout or something like that, you can run into situations where you need to update the report schema that's embedded in the Word report layout where you've done that configuration. So what Microsoft has done is, in this enhancement, they've provided the ability to actually export the report schema itself as a separate file, which you can then open up in your Word report and then import that schema into your report. And by doing that, you will have the new data elements that have been added to the report, in the background through development, and you can present those on your report. Similarly, you can update the report's schema and export the layout again, which is something that is handy when you're going to if there's been a development change in the report object to add information. And then you can also create blank layouts from the report objects as well. I think that's sufficient. So if this is helpful for you, there's a nice video here to give you more information and demoing that process. Okay, next thing is just going to touch on this one lightly. Microsoft has made some changes in how manufacturing and warehousing related entries are posted. So previously, some organizations would run into scenarios where two people may be trying to post a transaction, like maybe they're moving, an item from one bin to another or something like that. If they both hit the button, just about the same time, one of those is going to beat the other one out, and the other person may get like a table locking message saying, "Hey, you pushed the button just at the wrong time, just shortly after somebody else pushed the post button or the commit button," and you're running these table locking issues. They've made enhancements to stop that. So basically, those tasks get now queued up and they're processed in order, so people don't get those table locking error messages. Okay, this next feature here, create sales lines easily with Copilot, is an interesting one. I think this is very early on in its development, but basically the idea is if I go to a sales order, and I'll just go in here. So sales order, there's some Copilot features on these where you can import files. So I'm on my sales order and I can see my little Copilot button here. By the way, Microsoft is embedding Copilot all over the place. So I've got a Copilot icon up here at the top. I've got one down here. This one is specific to this line section. There's some features in here. So the feature here is suggest sales lines. What I can do is I can click on this button. Okay, well, it's not a good example because that sales order is not even open. But what it's going to do is basically it's going to allow me to make recommendations on sales lines to add. Let me see. I don't know if this is. See how it does here. So you can, by text, you can have it try to build out lines for you. Similarly, you can also import an attachment or a file and have it read that file to try to decipher it and identify what items should be added. Okay, so this actually did pretty good, although admittedly I did spoon feed it pretty dang clearly what I was looking for. So, my text was, say, give me 4 black chairs, 2 of which swivel. So we've got, 2 Paris chairs, so 4 Paris chairs. Oh, actually, it looks like it made some mistakes here, but what we're seeing here is we're seeing an application of Microsoft using the Copilot tools to try to speed up processes. I do have to admit, I think this is pretty early on in the life cycle of these. I don't know how super useful this is. I don't know if it's faster for me to type out and try to have Copilot decipher it into lines, or if it's just faster for me to type out the lines myself. Another one of the features here, like I mentioned, though, is suggest sales lines from a file. Right now, this feature will only accept CSV files, which is pretty darn limited. However, Microsoft will be enhancing this to accept other kind of files in the future. So that may be something like an email or a Word document or something like that, with the idea of reading that content and then creating the lines for you in an automated way. So I think these are very early on examples of how Copilot can receive information and help us. And the way Microsoft is approaching these Copilot tools is they're kind of taking this walk before you run approach. And you see, I'm seeing that a lot. Like, for example, suggest sales lines from a file. I can only do that through a CSV file right now, which isn't super helpful, admittedly. However, it's a starting point. And as they add additional features around this, it will. This is just kind of like the foundation for greater and bigger things. One of the things that we are going to see is Microsoft is going to be delivering tools like artificial intelligence tools called agents. So think of that as being kind of like Copilot, but like it stands on its own and it's just waiting for something to happen. So one of the enhancements that they're working on and looking on delivering, I believe within the next couple of months, is a sales agent, which would actually monitor an Outlook inbox for requests and try to to take those and create either quotes, sales quotes, or sales orders. And so even though I don't think this is super useful right now, just as a CSV file, this is the foundation for some future features that I think might be very, very cool. Okay, next. They're continuing to improve the reconciliation features, the bank reconciliation features. So Copilot now has some capabilities to be able to use artificial intelligence to try to help speed up the reconciliation process. So you can read a little bit more about that if this is something you're interested in. I think the buttons will be prevalent on the bank account reconciliation pages anyway. Next, if you're doing anything with e-document, transferring documents between your business and other businesses, they've added several new service providers links. These companies specialize in brokering these e-document communications between businesses, and so if that's something you're interested in or something you're working with, you can check that out. They've improved also the search capabilities within lists. So, for example, if I go to an item in here, and if I just type in CH BLA, that is not showcasing. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So use modern search, which is faster. CH BLA. Okay, so what we saw there just a second ago is we've got these two. We've got the old way of the way it used to work and the new way that it works now. And what we're seeing here is they've made improvements in the search capability. So instead of having to type chair, comma, space, black in order to find all of the chairs that have black, I can now use just partial text. So I don't have to spell out chair. I don't have to spell out black in order for it to search through and get me relevant results. I use that all the time in the search capabilities up here, and it's nice to in the find capabilities up here, and it's nice to see that on these menus as well. Next is just having to do with Microsoft adding a number of new row and column definitions. Admittedly, I think this is most useful for companies who are just onboarding and coming, starting to use Business Central. However, there are some nice features, or there's some nice report layouts in here. So if I go to financial reports and want to take a quick look at this, for example, they've got like a trial balance, report that's being delivered out of the box now. If I just take a look at this, I've got my classic beginning balance, debits, credits, and ending balances. I don't have a good, date filter here, but a number of these are helpful and handy. There's also some really nice. I think the most beneficial ads here are related to the column layouts. So they've got net change, having to do with budgets only. They've got this trial balance, where you've got beginning balance, debits, credits, and ending balance. They've got 12 months, trending for income statements. So income statement, 12-month net change trend, current fiscal year, and a number of other things. So if you're interested in seeing those right now, I haven't seen those automatically inserted into active companies. So if you want to get your hands on that, what you would do is you could go into Business Central and create a new company from scratch. And then if you set it up this way that I outlined here, it will end up creating those in that test company for you, and you can copy and migrate those over to your production and environment in a couple of different ways. Okay, so just keep going here. All right, so couple of I'm just going to keep going. We're already 40 minutes into this. I'm going to try to race through a couple of other things here at least before I transition towards the later part of my presentation. Also, I should mention here, I'm going to stay on the meeting after we turn the webinar. After we turn the recording off. I'm available. I don't have any meetings right after this. So if anybody wants to talk or ask questions or anything like that, I'm going to stick around and we can talk and answer any questions you might have. I will do my best to answer any questions that you might have. All of this stuff is very new, even for me too. So, okay. So Microsoft, be aware that they are going to be changing. They're going to be adding some flexibility in the update schedule. So previously, you've had a certain amount of time to upgrade, and if you haven't upgraded at that time, Microsoft would push you to do that. They're going to be lengthening that out to 5 months. That will allow you um, to do additional testing or preparation if you've got a complex, environment, or if you've got lots of modifications or customizations and those kinds of things. So they're easing up on that. They're also making it possible for you to actually opt out of the incremental month by month upgrades if you want. However, they're always delivering great new features, so I don't encourage that unless you've got a pressing business reason to do that. They've added the ability to drag and drop multiple files into dialog boxes. So, for example, if I am on a vendor card here, and I want to add some documents to this, and I go into upload files here, I can now drag and drop more than one file into this rather than having to do it one at a time. The next one's a very small one, but everybody can use it. You can now, when you're looking at list pages in the application, you can now resize columns without having to go into the personalized mode. So there's a very small, very small enhancement, but it'll be nice to be able to resize this stuff on the fly without having to go in personalization mode. Okay, next thing to make note of here is Copilot for Finance. So again, Microsoft is looking for lots of different ways to enhance your usability of Business Central and their other applications. This Copilot for Finance is a new application that they're going to be delivering that is going to allow you to work within both Excel and Outlook and query your Business Central environment. This I can't really showcase this, or I'm not really going to showcase this at this point in time, but I think it's a little bit early. When I'm looking at these showcases, or when I'm looking at this presentation, it seems kind of salesy. And not real tangible. So I think we're just kind of pretty early on in the delivery and life of this enhancement. But there's some really cool potential there, where like I said, using or staying within Outlook, you can query and ask it questions about your Business Central data. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to start kind of skipping some of these things. Be aware that if you're using the Shopify integration tools, there are a number of enhancements in here. I'm not going to go through these in this presentation. These are kind of niche things if you happen to be using that, but Microsoft is really trying to keep up with Shopify's feature capabilities and making the link between Business Central and Shopify nice and tight. Okay, so let's see. Okay, you now have the ability to specify on the sales and receivable and purchases and payables setup pages if you want to have a quantity of one default on documents. So instead of having to type in one for on every invoice line, if you find this button on those pages and turn it on, it will default a quantity of one on the sales document lines. Okay, so I'm going to start fast forwarding here, and I'm going to start working on. I want to change gears here and talk about a couple of other things here before we finish up here. Okay, this item right here, managed subscription billing and revenues and expense recognitions, is basically an entirely new module available in Business Central. I've dug my teeth into this. And I've played around with this quite a bit, and admittedly I'm still struggling a little bit. This basically creates this new module, basically adds in some completely new concepts. And I don't know if the problems that I'm having are bugs or user-based. My guess is that it's probably user-based, that I just am not understanding well enough. But however, it is brand spanking new, so they could also be bugs as well. But I just want to take you through this and give you just a little bit of information about this, so you're aware that this is available if this is beneficial to you. I will say, I know, I think this is a feature that actually would benefit Boyer based off of the services that we provide and how we bill our customers. And so at some point, we will be looking at these as well. The concept here is that it adds a framework and a way to be able to track what it calls service commitments. And you can think of a service commitment as basically being like a contractual obligation, or an obligation of some kind or another. So for example, if I've got an item, like if I'm selling a widget, there may be some contractual obligations related to this widget that I want to track. So this is where these service commitments come into play. And I admit that I'm just giving you totally the tip of the iceberg here, but I just want people to be aware that this feature is out here now, in case it's helpful for you. So I may have a scenario where if I'm selling this widget, I may have two kinds of warranties that I want to track in Business Central. One may be a commitment that my company owes to our customer, which is a 1-year standard warranty for this widget. When I sell this, if I'm a reseller of this, there's also a contractual obligation, or an obligation from the vendor that I bought it for, to warranty this item, or maybe it's the manufacturer of this. And so what this can do is this can track these obligations and these service commitments as part of the sales process. Similarly, this is quite a robust feature. I can also do things like offer premium or extended warranties or something like that for a price. So for example, if I've got an item like this and I'm going to try to sell it, let me just open up a sales order, and I'll sell one of these widgets. Just create a new one here. Okay, so I'm just going to pick item 1000, my widget, and watch what happens when I put this in here. What it's going to do is it's going to ask me, if it will reply, it's going to ask me if, as part of this sale, they want to also purchase this additional premium, license. I'll just say sure. So the way this page works, this is a little bit, this doesn't work super intuitively. If I hit cancel, it will not add it. If I hit yes, if I hit OK here, it will add it. And now, as part of the sales order line, I have a note here about the service commitments that are going to be created as a result of this. The system's going to track. In this case, my warranties, the warranty that we owe to our customer, and our vendor owes to us just by virtue of this purchase. And then also in this case, the customer has chosen to purchase an extended warranty as well. So this model is pretty robust. I will say there's quite a bit of a learning curve getting yourself grounded on this stuff. I will say, as a kickstart, if this is something you want to investigate, what I would suggest setting up your bookmarks in a certain order. There's a number of different subjects, and if you bookmark it in this order, this will lend itself to the basic life cycle of how you would start using this. So configurations are at the top here, and then once we get to sales orders, we start getting to the area where we're dealing with the actual tracking and the creations of those commitments. Just a couple of other very high level conceptual points here. The way the system works is basically these service commitments are tethered to inventory items. And there's a lot of different things that you can do here. This module is basically called subscription billing and recurring billing. One of the really nice features and options in here is I can set up a service contract or an item like this is a service contract type item, or that's not a type item, I guess. I can set up an item in here and attach some of these configurations. And then when I sell this, what it will do is it will queue up and say, hey, I'm going to invoice this customer, once a month for the next 12 months or something like that, in whatever specified amount for services that we're going to bill periodically. Similarly, you can handle scenarios where we're going to send them one bill right now for the full year, and then it will handle the accounting, the recognition of that revenue periodically through the year for you. So you don't have to track that stuff manually. You can track that stuff now in the system. Okay, again, admittedly, there's a lot to this. I'm still struggling through this, but this is a new feature that's available for companies that can stand to benefit from a subscription billing module, or they have recurring billing scenarios that they need to deal with. Okay, so we're getting very short on time. And the last thing I want to talk about today is I want to talk about the analysis mode. So I'm going to go into just a historical table. I'm going to go into my general ledger. You know what? I'll go to my customer ledger. No, I'll go to my general ledger entries. General ledger entries. Okay, so this is a feature that's, oh, that's not the right thing. General ledger entries. Okay, so this analysis mode is basically, you can think of this as a reporting tool. Basically what it does is it provides pivot table capabilities on table data in Business Central, which is really cool. So again, this feature was, has been around for at least a year, but it's kind of hidden. And so if you're not aware of it, I want you to be aware of it. So if I come into a table like this, it can be the general ledger entries, item ledger entries, or custom ledger entries, or whatever historical table I want. There is a button at the top here that's called that. If I hover over it, it says enter analysis mode. And when I click on this, what I'm going to do is it's going to open up this analysis mode view of this table. And there are a couple things in here. I've got a pivot table mode, and then I've also got regular data mode here. So when this is not activated, what it's doing is it's basically just showing me all of the general journal lines in this case, very similar to how it was before I had that. However, I do have the ability to do groupings in here if I want to. So if, for example, I want to group by maybe document type or something like that. I can take one of these values. I'm just going to click on this little waffle icon right here and drag it down to the row groups. And now it's going to summarize this information. So in my general ledger entries, I've out of all of them, I've got 1,372 entries that don't have a document type specified on it, 852 payments. And I can expand this out and read this in greater detail here. So if I want to see, group by document number, and then, well, maybe I do something like department and then document. So I can grab any one of these values and group on it for presentation purposes here. So this isn't very interesting. I just happened upon a not very interesting example, but so I picked a department code, which is a dimension value to group it by. Looks like there's basically only one department in my data set here. But with this grouping, with this tool, when it's not in pivot mode, I have the ability to see my historical data grouped any way that I want it to. So let me change this now to my pivot mode. And when I've got this set in pivot mode, basically this becomes a pivot table. If you've worked with pivot tables in Excel or not, this is a powerful tool that allows you to be able to see information and visualize it and kind of get your arms and your mind around it quickly in different ways. So the way this works is, again, I can take whatever groupings I want. and I can group my rows. So let's maybe I'll just, okay, I'm making this up again as I go on the fly here. So maybe I've got document type here. I want to see document types groupings as my rows, and maybe I want to have some information along the top here having to do with my years and months. So I'm just going to click and grab posting date year, and I'll grab posting date month and put that below posting date year. And now I've got summary information here presented in my matrix in my pivot table here. I'm going to get rid of a number of these values to kind of tighten this up a little bit. And what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing an intersection, my data, as I'm making this scenario up on the fly here, I'm not getting much interesting here, but I'm seeing an intersection. So in January of 2023, this would be the total amount of all general ledger entries that were classified as payment type entries. So this isn't a super exciting or interesting example here, but I've used this tool many times since it came out. One of my favorite scenarios here is I'm working on implementations, and as we're loading beginning balances, this is a really nice way for me to basically show net change in a GL account. So that would look something like this. GL account is my rows, and basically my net change numbers are in each one of these respective columns. So this is my net change for January 2023 for my 50,110 account. So you can save these. You can give them names. You can also get a link for this and send it to your coworkers so they can see the same configuration. There's also some kind of cool Copilot tools in here where if I type out here, hey, show me grouping by GL accounts and as rows, columns, as columns, years and months, it can actually configure this stuff for you just by me writing it out in here. So if you're not aware of this analysis mode feature, I want you to be aware of this and start using it. This is a really powerful way to analyze your data in these respective tables. So again, I'm just playing around with the general ledger entries, but you'll find this on lots of different tables in the application. And the sky's the limit basically on how you're going to use this. Okay, so we've been going for an hour, so we're gonna conclude the webinar, but I'm going to stay on, and I'm happy to answer as well as I can any questions anybody might have. Katie, is there anything you wanted to conclude with?
Awesome presentation, and I think there's a lot of great links in there. It's fun to be able to dig into it.
Great, thanks, Katie. Thank you everybody for participating.